Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أهلا وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. How you doing, my brother?
Wallah, I'm very, very, very good. Absolutely delighted to have you, mashallah, with us today as a guest.
Likewise. Allah bless you, Akhi, man. Akhi, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you, for allowing me to, share some of my stories and reach out to the people that are on your platform. It really means a lot to me, Akhi. So, from the bottom of my heart, Jazakumullahu khairah.
Well, I actually really appreciate you taking out the time, because I know you've got a busy schedule, you family man, children, Allah Barik project. So, especially being at home, I know a lot of brothers, they tell me I'm even more busy now that I'm at home with family. So you taking out the time, wallah, we're truly grateful, extremely grateful.
Nice, but it's a pleasure. Anytime, Akhi, anytime. Fikum, wa fikum.
Just to introduce the viewers to you, I'm sure a lot of them are already acquainted with your work, Allah Barik. But for those who may not, this is Ustad Ismaeel. He's a graduate from the University of Medina, and actually has a very, 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 very amazing story, Allah Barik. And the reason I wanted to get him on board is because I think a lot of us can take life lessons, because I know a lot of you guys watching me right now, some of you want to seek knowledge, you want to go abroad, you want to seek knowledge, you want to study the deen. Okay, there's some lessons that you can hopefully extract from hearing our brother today. I know some of you are going through some problems in life. I know some of you are sick, some of you are suffering with jinn possession, some of you got problems on road, you have all sorts of problems. And sometimes when you hear another person struggle and how they kind of helped, how Allah will help them overcome it, you can kind of take some benefit as well. I think it was one summer and I saw you in the masjid. Allah Barik, was good to see you back. It's always good to see a brother from the Sunnah graduate from the university, come back, do da'wah. And then it was just a big shock. One of my very close friends, he sent me a message. He said, that brother Ismaeel, your boy's got cancer. And there was like a Facebook live that you had done. And I really, really broke my heart, subhanAllah, to see that. It really, really affected me, I lost a lot of close people to cancer, family members, a close friend, young brother as well, died 33 years of age, Allah took his life when it came to cancer. So even a sister, who's a family, she was the sister of a very close family friend of mine. She passed away due to cancer as well, like 2 years ago. So it's like it was just sad to see like another, young brother on the Sunnah who's kind of battling with this issue. And when I saw that live, initially the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to reach out to you and just show you some love. But I remember you said on there, you were like, I don't even want anyone to reach out to me right now. I don't want anyone to come at me. And I know what that's like. Like men generally, when we go through a problem, we go into our little cave. We don't want to speak to the world. And I really, really, really didn't want to kind of bug you and in that way. And I didn't want to come across fake. Like some people, they only shout you when it's bad. So I thought, let the dust settle and then reach out to you. And since then, we went back and forth on Instagram a little bit. But alhamdulillah, now we have an opportunity to kind of really have you on board. So I'd just like to hear from your perspective. I know you mentioned it on other platforms, but if you could share here, like what was it like when you like how what was the story leading up to you finding out you had cancer, and what was the first thing that actually went through your mind, that like the first thought that came into your mind the moment you realized the doctor told you it's cancer?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I do apologize for getting emotional. It's like as much as I think that as much as I tell myself and I try to be strong, the reality I promised myself I wasn't going to get emotional.
It's a safe space.
Yeah. The reality is I'm still like coming to terms with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like hearing you speak about it. It's almost as like I'm hearing it being spoken about. It's like somebody else has got it, and in my head I'll be like, that's a test, But the reality is, it's me. Do you see what I'm saying? And when I hear you speak about people in the past tense now, like there was a brother or there was, I'm not. You didn't upset me, akhi. It's not you. You didn't offend me. It's just. Do you know what I mean? It's just how it is. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? And these ain't tears because I think I'm like doomed and I'm gonna die tomorrow or anything like that. It's sad because I know that one day we all are gonna be spoken about in the past tense. Inshallah ta'ala, hopefully, we will be spoken about in a positive light in the past tense. But hearing it brings it back. It makes me realize that this is very, very, very real. I came across, just to quickly digress ever so quickly, I came across an old US hard drive I got. And I called my wife. I was like, B, look, check this out, man. There was loads of videos from my time in Medina. And actually, you see me right now, I'm probably about 72 kg, slim. But I'm like, when I was in Medina anyway, and actually I was like hard, like solid 80 kg. At my worst or best, depending on how you look at it, I was like 82, 83 kg. So I'm 10 kgs lighter than I was before. And then me and my wife were looking at it and we just said to ourselves, like, we were so oblivious at that time, say 2016, 2017, we were so oblivious to what was about to come, the roller coaster of a journey. And I'm sure it's going to be it's going to continue to be a roller coaster. But we were just so oblivious, about what was to come. But alhamdulillah, looking on the bright side, I'm still alive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed me to make another Ramadan. Since being diagnosed with cancer, I've made Hajj. There's been so many other things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with. So I don't want anybody to, see the tears and, understand this to be, I'm ungrateful or I'm sad. No, I'm actually quite very, very happy. But at the same time, dealing with a life-threatening disease, it does come with its challenges. You probably know this because you've dealt with people or you've come across people that have cancer before, that they put you on this like 5-year surveillance, if you like. And it's qadar Allah, akhi, that we're having this live when I've got an observation coming up in 2 days' time. And they usually give it to me every 6 months. So my biggest hurdle, akhi, is just getting my mind right for this observation, because I don't know what they're going to tell me. And for anybody to have that much power over you, akhi, is crippling. It's almost like if I'm not mentally in the right place, the doctor that gives me the results to my PET scan that I've got in a couple of days, he could even make, or she could even make me the most happiest man in the world, or I could be at that particular time and hearing that news, the most saddest person in the world. And I hate being vulnerable, and that's what terrifies me. So every time I come up to a checkup, I get really, really anxious, and it's just the timing. But anyway, back to your original question. How was it when I first found out? To be honest with you, akhi, I've mentioned this, and I do apologize to those people that have heard this story before. But there were signs, akhi. There were so many symptoms and there were signs that had I been more in tune with my body, had I been more in tune with these signs, had I not been, as I am naturally, a warrior, then I think that we could have caught it so much earlier, so much earlier. And who knows what would have happened. Maybe I wouldn't be in this position that I am today. But, before I even got diagnosed, actually, from when I was in Medina, and when I look back in retrospect, there were occasions that I couldn't, like if I needed to go toilet, number 2, akramakum Allah, I literally would, let's say we're coming home from shopping, I'm running in the house and I need to go toilet, I couldn't hold it very well. And then when I would go to the toilet, like number 2, then I would see blood in the stool. And this is something I didn't realize how many people suffer from this, brothers and sisters alike, because many people have contacted me and told me, look, this is what I'm seeing, what do you think I should do? And my advice is simple. Go get that checked out straight away. Don't, learn from my mistake. Learn from my mistake. Don't be too proud or be too scared, because I don't like, naturally, as a, shakhsiyatan, my personality, I don't like having to deal with bad news. But that was to my detriment, and it was a valuable life lesson. So any other scare I've had since my cancer, I've called up my clinical nurse straight away and done what I had to do. But going back to the signs that I had, the blood in the stool, another huge sign was tremendous weight loss. Like I told you, I was 80 plus kg. I graduated and I went from 80 down to 60, what felt like in a matter of months. That's over like 20 kg plus. And in my head, I just put it down to stress. I put it down to, the fact that I just spent 8 years in Medina, and now, I ended up in a Waitrose stacking shelves. I couldn't consolidate between 8 years of my life studying with the ulama, and now I'm stacking shelves. No disrespect to anybody in that profession, but it just wasn't befitting for somebody that's been studying for so long. So cut a long story short, is my mother. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her and continue to guide her. She's the one that pushed me, akhi, pushed me. Even when I was like putting it down, saying, no, akhi, no, mama, sorry, it's fine, I'm good. In fact, akhi, the first time I actually done a stool sample and a blood test, it came back negative. Nothing's the matter with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, imagine that. And it goes to show, that doctors, they don't always get it right.
Yes, subhanAllah.
They don't always get it right. And again, it was the love of my mother that said, Ismaeel, she calls me Chris because my birth name's Chris. She's like, Chris, you need to go get a second opinion. And I'm like, no, mom, everything's fine. They said that everything's fine. And she practically said to me, listen, you are going to kill me. And that there broke my heart. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the cause of the death of anybody, much less my mom, because she's worrying. So I suppose actually looking back deep down in the depths of my soul, I knew something was wrong. And I didn't know exactly what, but I tell you something, there's been, everyone's got their fears in life. But prior to being diagnosed, one of my biggest fears among a few was to get cancer. It was like, anything but that.
Yeah.
I just didn't want the cancer because I've seen what it does to people. When I think of cancer, I think of chemotherapy, people's hair dropping out, people, becoming all, skinny and stuff like that. And it's something that I just didn't want for myself. So when I found out it was actually, a tumor in my colon, it was a weird the best way I can describe it actually was a weird out of body experience. It was as if I was looking at myself being told, and to be honest with you, I mentioned this on the other podcast. When I don't know if you've ever, either had or know anything about colonoscopies, but they put a camera, which is probably thinner than this, when it's really flexible. They put it, internally inside you. And as soon as he took it out, I'm still on the operating table. So I just look over to him and I say, Doc, did you see anything? And his response, he told me I had a tumor without telling me I had a tumor. He just said to me, do you want me to tell you now? And as soon as he said that, what more do you have to, what more confirmation do I need after that? You with me, akhi? So that kind of gave me the time to say, okay, all right, I've got cancer. Okay, all right, like, where do I go from here? Well, alhamdu wa shukr, to this day, it's something that me personally I'm proud about and I'm happy about. I've never, ever been upset with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the test. And I think that, no matter what you go through in life, you're right, no matter what you go, somebody's always going through something worse than you. And oftentimes as human beings, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down the barakah upon us, and He does, every single day is a blessing. I'm sure everybody would concede to that. But I'm speaking about other blessings that you may get that somebody else might not get. For example, Allah might bless you with children, might not bless another man with a child. Allah might bless you with siblings and parents that live to old age. This person, he never had his mum and dad in his life. There are so many blessings that we have, but seldom do we say, and say, oh Allah, why have you blessed me with this? It's just the nature of mankind, When we get the blessing, we just take it, we take it. And a few of us will be shakir, thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when the musibah comes, we're quick to say, oh Allah, why me? Wallahi, 2-3 days ago when I had a low moment, I had a really, really low moment, and it was like, it just crept up on me, like in like a shadow in the night. I was fine. Then my wife just said one thing to me. She said to me, your legs look kind of thin. And that was the first sign that she recognized in me when I started to... Say it again, bro.
When it originally happened, before you found out.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Before we actually got the confirmation and I was losing weight, I thought, yeah, I'm just a bit stressed, but I'm going gym, I'm in shape. But she was like, nah, your legs looking so skinny. So as soon as she said that to me, that was the mechanism, actually. It was like that, a trigger. And I've been relatively in good spirits and, quite positive for the last couple of months, right? Going on for like a year and a half. And I'm not blaming my wife, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her and raise her ranks, She said one statement, akhi, and it just whoosh, and I just lost myself, like, at everything. To the most, the most precise emotion that I felt a couple years back, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this it? Because I've been feeling little niggles and pains in my belly. And it's, the mind's a funny thing, akhi. If somebody's told you you've got, like, for example, cancer, and you start to feel something in the area that they told you that you've got the cancer in your head, khalas, I've got it. This is it, it's coming back. But for all I know, in a couple of days' time, they may say to me, oh, Mr. Beaumont, you're all clear. And you know what, one thing I didn't mention in my last podcast, actually, that I would be remiss if I didn't mention it now, is I've been re-diagnosed. Walillah alhamdu wa shukr. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this amount of time, post my initial diagnosis. But I didn't mention in the last podcast that I did that the diagnosis that they gave me, it's not in my colon no more. It's not in my colon. They cut that tumor out. And what's happened is some of my lymph nodes around the tumor were infected. So they took out a whole bunch of my lymph nodes. I think it was about 31 in total, 16 of which were malignant, i.e. cancerous. But there was no way to ensure that they got all of it. That's why they wanted to give me the chemotherapy initially. So what's happened now, for some, the wisdoms with Allah, it's traveled to my lymph nodes to the point now it's around this area of my back, akhi. Okay. My lower back. That's where it is right now, in my groin area, but in my lower back. That's where they tell me that.
Is in the live cancer still there?
Yeah. So when they took the tumor out, they gave me tests and there was no sign that there was any cancer. Then what happened was, after my periodic test every like 3 to 6 months, there was actually a recording that I put up on my stories whereby I recorded the conversation with the nurse that broke the news to me to say, look, Mr. Beaumont, we've seen some uptake. Now, the word uptake in this context was referring to some malignant cells that have shown up on the PET or the CT scan. And it was devastating, akhi, because I thought that I had finished that particular test. So to be brought right back, it was difficult to deal with. But I promised myself, I said, Ismaeel, if it ever comes back, you're going to deal with it bi'idhni Rabbina Azza wa Jal differently to how you dealt with it the first time. The first time I became a recluse. I became really depressed. I was in a dark room. I wouldn't pick up the phone to anybody. I wouldn't allow any visitors and stuff like that. I said, no, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to continue to teach, which I've still been doing. I'm going to continue to the best of my ability to continue to be positive, which I have, for the most part, I have been doing. But, it's come back. And since then I've had tests, and it was really strange. One of the meetings I had with my oncologist, he said, look, you're going to have cancer. She said, you're going to have cancer for the rest of your life. You're never going to get rid of it. But if you don't take the chemo now and it spreads, then there's nothing we can do for you. All we can do for you is just offer you, I forget the term that they use, but we're just going to control it now, And then I was like, well, if I've got cancer for the rest of my life and there's nothing I can do with it, I got to accept it. That was the first step, akhi, for me personally, in moving forward. I had to accept I have cancer, and unless Allah wills otherwise, I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. Now that I'm over that hurdle, bro, it makes moving forward and understanding my relationship with this life, and inshallah ta'ala, ultimately my Lord, a bit more easier to digest. I really now understand my mortality. And obviously, everyone's going to die. But when you don't have any imminent health implications, death is something that you think, oh, it's going to happen way down there. I've got time. But when you've obviously got cancer or any other life-threatening disease, it's like a black cloud just following you over your head every single day. There's not a single day that goes by that I don't, in some way, shape, or form, think about my situation. Anyway, I digress, man. He said to me, like, we need to give you chemo. If you don't take it and it spreads, you're going to be in a real bad situation. I said, look, just give me 1 month. Give me 1 month. They probably thought I was a madman. I said, just give me 1 month and just give me another test. If you give me another test and you say that it's got worse, khalas, I'm going to just take the chemo if that's what you suggest in your professional opinion. So a month later goes by now, and I just tighten up actually on all of the natural stuff that I've been taking, tighten up on my diet. I tightened up already, but I got extra. Like when the Ramadan comes, the Prophet ﷺ used to tighten up his izar, yeah? That's what I started doing with like everything in life. And we went back for the test. So I done the test, and then maybe like 2-3 weeks later, they called me in. So I walk in, and this was when Corona's like just getting at its peak. They wouldn't even let my wife in the hospital.
This is the second diagnosis you're talking about, right?
This is the second diagnosis, yeah. They wouldn't even let my wife in the hospital. I had to go in by myself, and I'm like, hopefully I don't hear no bad news. You know how emotional I am already, akhi. I'm a bag of emotions sometimes. I can't help it, bro. So I went in there, and the lady said to me, all right, good news, just to let you know, it's stable. That's the word she used. Okay. She said it's stable. It hasn't got better, hasn't got worse. It's stable. And to me, that was good news. Do you know what I mean? It hasn't gone to my liver, hasn't gone to my kidneys, hasn't gone to any my main arteries. So I was over the moon. And she said to me, and this like really shook me to my core. She said to me, Mr. Beaumont, had you taken the chemotherapy when we told you to take it like a month ago, we would have said to you today that the chemo is working and it's keeping the cancer at bay. And I said to her, wow, I'm so happy that I followed my heart, because my heart is telling me don't take chemo. That's what my heart is telling me. I can't, because when I was in hospital, actually, they were pumping me with drugs every single day, to the point I got addicted to some of the more harder drugs that they were giving me, the painkillers, because it took my mind away. Yeah. It made me forget where I was. You know what I'm saying, akhi? And as ashamed as I am to admit I got addicted to it, it's my journey. This is what happened. I'll be a liar if I'm going to sit here in front of you and not give you the authentic story. I was in hospital, like I got addicted to the drugs that they were giving me. So I was over the moon that I followed my heart. I put my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so far so good. You with me? So far so good. But it just so happens now this is going to be the next test since I had the good news.
Okay.
You with me? So yeah, answering your original question, bro, I think the initial reaction or the emotion that I had upon hearing the news was shock. As I'm sure anybody, even if you hear about somebody passed away, initially it's like, what? Especially if it's a sudden passing. And then when the reality kicks in, so I had to tell my wife, I had to tell my father, thinking about my kids, that's when the tears and the emotion and the sadness comes in, because you start thinking about every single possible eventuality. Okay. If I die, who's going to look after my wife? If I die, who's going to look after my children? If I die, are my kids going to, who's going to be that man figure in their life that's going to, teach my son how to be a man? You with me? Who's going to protect my daughter when those, the young brothers want to start asking for a hand in marriage? You start to think about this. I've got a daughter, well, alhamdulillah, who's got Down syndrome. She needs me, akhi. You feel me, akhi? She needs me, and she's my heartbeat. She's my heartbeat. She's 8 years old. No, she's not. She's 10 years old. 10 or 11. I'm terrible with birthdays and stuff like that, akhi. I got 5 kids. Forgive me, man. She's 10 years old, and I what makes me emotional is like, I'm going to have enough to worry about in the grave. Like we all do. I've got enough to worry about. But I also am concerned about the state that I'm going to be leaving my family in. Even if it's not optional. It's not optional at all. But I still think about that. I think about my wife having to raise 5 kids. You know, a lot of things go through my mind, but I know that a lot of that is the wiswas of the shaitan. And just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected us up until this point now, He will continue to protect in the event that He decides to call me back to Him. You with me? But I'm a human being at the same time. I can't help but worry, you know. And one of the pertinent messages that I would love to get across to, you know, your listeners today is, don't always look at a trauma or a calamity as being indicative of something that's terrible. Because, akhi, certain things I will share, certain things I'll just keep to myself, but so many beautiful things have happened to me in my life, in my family's life, in my kids' life, and even other people's life as a result of me going through this trauma. I've changed as a person, akhi Imran. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. You know, and that was it's by virtue of the ibtila, the test that has come. So sometimes beautiful things, beautiful, amazing things can come out of pain, trauma, and frustration. You with me? Sometimes you just have to trust in the process.
You know what, it's coming back to a point that you mentioned earlier, just linked to this, the issue of, you know, when a blessing comes, you take it with open hands, thank you Allah. When a calamity comes, we don't, because we don't realize that the calamity in and itself is actually a blessing. There's a narration that I came across in the Sunan from the Prophet ﷺ, which really changed my perspective on this whole concept of pain and suffering in this life. When the Prophet ﷺ, he said that when the people who were tested in this life, they were tried, whether it be through sickness, through oppression, through whatever they were tried, when they are given the reward on the Day of Judgment, and the people who are not tried, look at them, they watch them, they see how big their reward is going to be for their patience, they're going to wish that their skin was ripped off with scissors. Like, imagine, like, if we did not receive a trial in this life, when we look at those who were suffering in this life, who've been through whatever test they've been through, we're going to look at them on the Day of Judgment jealous, thinking, yo, I wish my skin was severed. I'm saying that's a blessing. You get blessings in this life, it changes your character, your perspective on the next life. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that fasting is, you know, the only thing, it's from the actions, hadith Qudsi, you know, إِلَّا صَوْمْ فَإِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا أَجْزِي بِهِ. Allah Azza wa Jal, he didn't mention the reward for fasting the way He did for other actions, because that's for Allah only. And that's also similar to the issue of sabr in the Quran, because fasting is a type of sabr. So sabr, as the ulama, they mentioned that Allah won't give a specific reward, He'll just pour it onto the person. Imam al-Awza'i said it's literally like Allah Azza wa Jal won't count it, He'll just pour it and pour it and pour it on a person. When Allah, the King of Kings, has a reward, He has a kingdom that you can't enumerate. When He says, I'm going to reward you, and I'm not going to count the reward, I'm just going to give, that's going to be a crazy reward, you know what I'm saying? And that's the reward for the patience. So that's a beautiful blessing. Also, another thing I just wanted to touch on is something that you mentioned there, Akhi, that really kind of, again, just reinforced the reality of death. You know, you mentioned that it's like death is something that's always something that is always there, but it takes a situation like this to remind you. You know, there was the brother I mentioned to you, his name was Ahmed, may Allah have mercy on him, the one who's passed away. I remember we went to visit him when he was very sick. You know, he got diagnosed on stage 4, and he had it for years. He had it for decades. He never knew. And when and this brother was, you know, like, this brother, may Allah have mercy on him. I remember I met him in the masjid. He was an Egyptian brother. He hardly spoke English. He could not speak, but he was just like, I'm in a country with the kuffar. I came here for work. I need to do some khair. And he saw the videos, us doing da'wah, because we used to do a lot of street da'wah. He said, bro, I want to give da'wah. So this brother, you know, I met him there, and I was just thinking, this brother has got so much energy, mashallah. He don't even speak English. I don't know what but then, you know, he used to perfect his English so he can just call people to Tawheed. So I remember one time he was on a da'wah table, even we must have left. It was like, we have to go, Ahmed, and he was just there, just talking like Allah Barak. He really wanted to share that message, and he had so many aspirations. He even became a Hafid Quran. He you know, he at a late age, you know, he got kids. He didn't have a kid of his own, but you know, his wife, she had a kid that was from a previous marriage. Sorry. So he was taking care of the kid. He was working, man, and he memorized the Quran. So he had a lot of aspirations. He wanted to know a lot when it comes to the deen. So when he found out, bro, it killed him. The stress killed him before the cancer. Wallahi, the stress killed him before the cancer. Like, you can literally see him withering away in front of your own eyes just because of it. I remember when we went to visit him, and we was with Ustad Abdurrahman and a couple other brothers. No, astaghfirullah, I wasn't there at this particular time, but they told me what happened. So they were there with him, and the brother was very sad. You know, he's like, oh, I'm going to die in a year's time. And then Ustad Abdurrahman said something to him. He said to him, bro, don't look at it like that, because any one of us can go before you. It's not in the hands of the doctor. It's not what the doctor told you. You know, like, because I can go right now, and how many brothers, like I'm saying, since he was told he had cancer and he actually did that, Allah chose to take his life, but how many people died in between? That he would have probably looked at thinking, you're going to live longer than me, but they went before. And then a similar situation was, I'm sure you heard Brother Ali Banat, may Allah have mercy on him, from Australia. Allah yarhamu. Yeah, I remember he said something deep to me. He said to me, the thing when I look back the most that shocked me when the doctor told me that I got cancer, he said that it took a guy in a white coat to tell me you're going to die, when Allah already told me you're going to die in the Quran.
Yeah, it's deep, akhi. It's deep. Just touching on something that you said about the calamity or the trial being a blessing for an individual. It's 100% true, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make me and all of us, from those people that are sabirun when the ibtila, the test drops. But an important point just to add on to that beautiful statement that you made is it's important for us to try to understand the test for what it is, and it's just a test, and to be mindful at no stage in that process to curse Allah or to curse the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to, you don't necessarily have to like it. That's a different type of sabr, different type of iman, for you to be happy at the ibtila. I don't like what I'm going through, akhi. I'll be the first one to say it. I struggle, but I'm not going to curse Allah's qadr. Somebody wrote something on Facebook, akhi, and it's weird. Like, sometimes the most unsuspecting people will make the biggest impact on you. The brother wrote, and it wasn't a hadith or anything, it was just something that it came from himself, but it hit my heart. He said that I had to tell my daughter, I had to basically focus my daughter's understanding of death and tell her it's Allah's way of saying, come back home. Now, obviously, there's no hadith to say this is what Allah says, but, Allah's created the Jannah for the believers. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and yaj'alani wa iyyakum min al-mu'mineen. So when you look at it from that angle, and I've got good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in my weak, deteriorating state, I do also have good thoughts of Allah, and I do believe, inshallah, He wants me to be in the paradise. That's just me having husnul dhan billahi tabaraka wa ta'ala. And for that moment, I was going through a weak time. It just changed everything. I was like, okay, death is a musibah. It's difficult, but it don't have to be. You don't have to look at it like it's the end, because it's not. We know it's not the end, but it could be that Allah's taking you to give you something better. That perspective, akhi, changes everything now.
Akhi, حتى the Prophet said, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yusib minhu." Anyone Allah wishes good for, Allah gives them calamity. You know what I'm saying? If Allah wishes good for a man, Allah's going to give him calamity, He's going to test him. Well, you know what it is for me, whenever I deep it, I think Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's no man that was more beloved to Allah than him. Imagine burying your daughter, your oldest daughter Zainab, putting her into the grave. You go into the grave, you think to your daughter, you think you're supposed to pray on me when I die. And there he buried Zainab. He buried Abdullah, Ibrahim. He buried Qasim. He had his other two daughters, Ruqayya, Kulthum, both died. Imagine, this part of the seerah shocks me. Like, you go to Badr, and Allah gives you victory. The angels come and fight alongside you. You take 70 prisoners. Prisoners are like, this is victory. You come back to Medina days later, your daughter just died. She's buried.
Calamity.
Yes, but that doesn't mean Allah don't love Rasulullah. He loves him. He's putting him through patience. He put him through calamity so he can be patient. His reward's going to be greater.
No. Beautiful. That's beautiful, akhi. Beautiful. Yeah. But that was the initial emotion, akhi. And since then it's been a roller coaster, akhi. We have up days, we have down days, but needless to say, we're just grateful. Me and my family, everyone, we're just grateful to still be here, to still continue doing what we're doing. My biggest concern, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts it. Do you see what I'm saying? Doing the work is the easy part, in my opinion. I know some people struggle to be, the acceptance is everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can psych yourself up, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be productive. But we just hope that it's just not in vain. We just hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts it, and trying to control and regulate the niyyah. As you know, akhi, mashallah, you've been in the limelight way longer than I have, and you've got a way bigger platform than I do. It's probably the single-handedly the hardest thing to try to control. I mean, the Salaf, they used to struggle with the niyyah for years, much less us in 2020 with all the devices and temptations that we have now with social media and stuff like that, and fame and fortune as well. Yeah, they had these things back in the day, but that's one of my biggest hurdles now. I just hope, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives me for any of my shortcomings, and I really pray that any khair that I have done, he rewards me generously. I mean, Ya Rab.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, what do you think it is that allows you to be? Because obviously I didn't know that you still had the cancer. I really ask Allah to cure you, a hasty recovery. I mean, but how like just because I know there's people listening right now that are going through some serious stuff. I know there's people listening right now, they got jinn, they got sihr. Someone sent me a message the other day saying I've been struggling with jinn for 12 years. You know what I'm saying? Some people got sicknesses. Some people listening to this probably got cancer maybe. I'm saying, but you're up and about, akhi. You're doing your thing, Allah barik. You're active. You're grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. That's one thing that really shocked me. I remember when I saw that video, that Facebook video. The one thing they gave me, it was weird because it's like obviously I'm not feeling your pain, but I was feeling your pain. But when you said in the thing, you said I'm very happy with the qadr of Allah, and you repeated it a few times. It was one where it's like, if you're happy, you're happy. You can go for whatever it is you want in life, but if you're happy, you're content, you can't really ask for more for a man. So what is it that allows you to be so grateful to your Lord? I'm saying, so that others can maybe take this lesson.
That's a fantastic question. Jazakallahu khair, akhi. I can only speak on behalf of myself, akhi. What I try to do is I just try to set up mechanisms. This is how I try to live my life. I set up mechanisms, and I use those mechanisms at a time of pain, or at a time of happiness, or at a time of when I'm feeling down, to draw on to allow me to keep going. So for example, when I got told, I've always, but even before cancer, I was doing little Arabic online, but the amount of attention I've been doing to, giving back has gone exponentially, like this, that hockey stick kind of thing since I got told. And one of those mechanisms that made me do that was the doctor telling me that, you could die from this. So I used that information and I internalized that to not allow it to get the better of me now. And I didn't want to go into that, like I said, that depression stage. I said, you know what? If you're telling me that I might die soon, that means I don't have a lot of time left. I need to get busy. I need to put in the work, because there are so many things I need to put in the work, actually, like really, because there are certain things I want to and I need to accomplish before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes my life. There's certain things inside, actually, that feeling that you get like, no, I've got more to give. I've got more to give before I can go. That was a mechanism. I think about death, and I didn't allow death to, consume me. I wanted to say, okay, khalas, I know I'm going to die anyway. I just don't know when. I'm just going to make sure that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does call me back, at least I can stand and say, my Lord, I did everything that I possibly could when you gave me that second chance. That's the first thing. The second thing, akhi, is that I'm super duper passionate about leaving a legacy. And I understand that some people may not be as passionate, or they may not have found their passion yet. But, you just have to dig deep and find, what is it that you're passionate about? What is your why? What is your why? And once you find that, hold on to it and don't drop it. And hold on to that why and be as passionate to fulfill that why like you are to eat food and drink and get married and all those things that we love to do. as human beings. Hold on to that. Because my thing is that I don't want, what I do to stop when Ismaeel passes away. Do you see what I'm saying? Like when you think of ulama, we can do ulama that have passed away in the past 30 years. From them, Sheikh bin Baz, Sheikh Al-Albani, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, and the likes. Or we can go back further, Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and his student, Ibn al-Qayyim. We can go back further to the companions. And we say, well, what is it, akhi, that makes us, 2020, where we're in May, I think we're in May right now. What is it that makes us still mention these people's name? 31st, here we're on the brink. Not only do we mention their name, akhi, but we make dua for them. What is it? It's nothing other than obviously the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost, and then after that, the work that they put in. We all got the same 24 hours in a day. We just choose to do different things with it. So I said, like, I want to be like those guys. I want, 10 years after, my demise, or 20 years or whatever, people to say, Allah yarhamu. Because there's still work that I did while I was here that's continuing. That's a motivating factor. That gets me out of bed in the morning. That's another mechanism that I put in place because I'm focused about my legacy. And another one, akhi, which is, really, really close, if not the same, is as what I alluded to at the beginning of this conversation. I love my family so much, akhi. It's not easy. Although there was, many, many benefits that came as a result of living in Medina, it wasn't easy for my wife to leave the UK, go to Medina. Remember, she came to Medina after my second daughter was born with Down syndrome. She was born with Down syndrome. She was also born with 2 holes in her heart. So at 3 months old, she had to undergo open heart surgery. She's got a scar on her chest, akhi, from here to here. So every day we're bathing her, she's changing. That's a reminder. Just like when I had my operation, I had a stoma bag for some time. I got a scar on my belly about this big, and I got about 5 incision points around when I had all tubes in me. These are all reminders. So when I think about, not in a bad way, but what I put my wife through, that sounds quite sinister, but not in a bad way, right? But it was my dream, as I mentioned in the other podcast I did, it was my dream to go to Medina. You with me? She followed me as a loyal, obedient, supporting wife. Can you imagine, akhi, that decision where she had to say, do I stay in Medina with my husband and my eldest daughter, or do I go back to the UK with my second daughter who's just been diagnosed with Down syndrome, or she's just had a open heart surgery? That's a decision that no woman should have to make. You with me, akhi? It's tough. Me thinking about, I'm like, sometimes I feel like I should have just said, nah, go back. Do you see what I'm saying? But we've got a fantastic family support system. It wasn't as if we were leaving her with strangers. I left her with my mum and my father and my in-laws, who are fantastic people. May Allah bless them. You with me? And then on top of that, we went through drama. I don't know if we're going to get enough time. Maybe this is maybe we can come back on the line. I know you're busy, actually. You got another meeting at 8 o'clock. But there was so much drama in Medina, akhi, that we went through. So now I've come back and, you think, khalas, I've graduated. Now it's time for me to start living my life and start, paving the way for, inshallah ta'ala, our future. We've been faced with, you might not even make it to the end of the year, or you might not even make it another 2 years. I don't want my wife to have to want for anything. That's just me. You with me? So I work hard so she don't have to. I work hard so my children have a role model to look up to. I work hard so I can be the one that can provide them with the opportunity in my life, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, and after my death, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Again, akhi, that's to answer your question. How am I able to continue doing what I'm doing? I just simply dig deep, akhi, and I find what are those mechanisms that keep me going, that keep me ticking. So in my head, whilst I think about my cancer, I say to myself, nah, you're as healthy as you feel. And for the most part, I feel good. If they didn't tell me, akhi, that I got it in my lymph nodes and it's in my groin area, I would have been none the wiser. It's a mental thing a lot of the time. And my thing is, look, I'm gonna try, should I say? I'm gonna try and not worry about, why am I gonna worry about something until it happens? Until my body starts to deteriorate, I'm gonna keep on that train, and I'm gonna keep moving forward. You with me? And I pray, even if I have to go through the chemo, I've promised myself, Ismaeel, even if you're going to continue to teach, I'm not going to stop bi'idhnillahi ta'ala until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes my breath. And I hope He takes it on Islam and Iman and the Sunnah. Ameen ya Rab. Yeah. Naam, exactly. You see, you know? And again, another mechanism, akhi, to look at people that you want to aspire to be like, you know? And at the end of the day, I know you got to go. We got probably about 10 more minutes left. And one of the most beautiful things, actually, that I've learned from this whole experience is two things. Actually, I said one, but it's actually two, but they're kind of connected. Number one is the importance of self-belief. Believe in yourself, ikhwani wa akhawati fillah. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? You with me? Believe in yourself no matter what the odds are. And number two, love yourself. And it might be strange, somebody saying like, why you should be speaking about loving yourself and stuff like that. I say, no, love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, who's going to love you? If you don't love and have a level of respect for yourself, how can you demand and command respect from other people? And one narration that comes to mind, narrated by Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he took Umar by the hand. And Umar said to him, words to the effect, Ya Rasulallah, la anta ahabbu ilayya min kulli shay'in illa min nafsi, or kama qala Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. The meaning of which is, he said, Ya Rasulallah, you're more beloved to me than everything except myself. Now notice that when the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam corrected Umar, he didn't negate Umar's right to love himself. He didn't negate it. He didn't negate it. He didn't negate it. All he said is, he says, La walladhi nafsi biyadi hatta akuna ahabbu ilayka min nafsik. Or kama qala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, no, Umar, until I become more beloved to you than yourself. So yeah, love yourself, Umar. But just make my love, just make your love for me more than your love for yourself, but still love yourself. And coming out of this situation, akhi, you know what, the drama in Medina, I came out of there like a headless chicken. I came out of Medina scared to speak, terrified that if I say the wrong word, some of my ikhwan, my brothers that believe in Allah with me, that's it, curtains. I was terrified as a 33-year-old man, terrified to give dawah to Allah after 8 years, because I'm scared if I say something and they record it, curtains, they're going to run back to the sheikh and that's it, it's over. But once whatever happened, happened, you know, it just changed my perspective on everything. And if we can, as a ummah, change our perspective on how we look at situations, we can change our futures, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's one of the pertinent messages that I want to give. Believe in yourself, love yourself, and just try to learn how to change your perspective, because that could be a huge deciding factor in a lot of things.
Barakallah feek, barakallah feek. Also, just I think definitely we're gonna have a part 2 to talk about the drama in Medina, because I think that a lot of people benefit from that, inshallah ta'ala. Sure. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about your project, because I wanted some of the brothers and sisters after the live to check it out. Before we pass it on to you, inshallah ta'ala, to do that, I just wanted to maybe just share some last minute words also from my perspective for the brothers and sisters, especially those who might be struggling with some kind of sickness, whether it be sickness pertaining to sihr or some kind of a bodily kind of ailment. There's a beautiful hadith in the Sahih of Imam Muslim, hadith Qudsi, in which the Prophet ﷺ narrated from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which Allah Azza wa Jal, he said that you didn't go to visit my slave who was sick. You didn't go to visit my slave who was sick. And had you gone to visit him, Allah Azza wa Jal said, he said, لَوَجْتَنِي عِنْدَهُ, you would have found me with him. So the scholar said, obviously this is not talking about literally Allah being with the slave. Allah Azza wa Jal is above his throne. So what does it mean from the angle of closeness? The person who's sick, Allah is very close to that person. So close that Allah is saying if someone would have gone to visit you or visit this person, they would have found Allah. That's how close Allah is to that person. So, akhi, we have husn dhan billahi azza wa jal. Allah is close to you. He's very close to you, inshallah ta'ala. Anyone else who's sick, we have husn dhan of Allah azza wa jal, that He's very close to them, inshallah ta'ala, as well. Whatever you're suffering from, Don't think of it as something that is like, that is bad. Like Allah loves you, wants good for you. He's testing you. He's bringing you close. He's making you close to Him. Like He's come close to you. And on the day of judgment, He's going to give. And that doesn't mean you can't seek cure. Like we were told, to go out there and seek medical treatment, seek spiritual treatment through ruqya and the Quran. But just know that it is not bad. If going through tests and trials and tribulations was bad, then Allah would have never tested His prophets. Ayub alayhi salam would have never been sick. Maggots are growing inside of his skin, are falling out because of how sick he is. I'm saying? That would have never happened to him. The Prophet would have never got inflicted with sihr. He got inflicted with sihr. I'm saying? So this is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, the ones to worry for are the ones who never get tested. Allah said in Surah I think it's An'am, Surah Al-An'am or A'raf, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, for the ones who they turn their eye on their back on a reminder, فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ أَبْوَابَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Allah opened the doors of every success for them. He's not getting. You think I'm sick, I'm broke, I'm struggling, but this guy, this door's open for him, that door's open for him. He's living life. Allah said, فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ أَبْوَابَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We opened the door for him, right? حَتَّى فَرِحُوا, until he's in a state of enjoyment and so much happiness. But remember, he's turned away from Allah. The rappers, the drug dealers, the people who are, the cheaters, what I'm saying? Like the evil people, the oppressive people. You think he's getting away with murder? No, he's not. Allah's going to wait till he's in a state of happiness. Then Allah says, فَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بَغْتَةً. Allah's going to grab them suddenly. Yeah, and he's not going to know what's coming to him. But for the believers now, they're going to be competent for all of that stress in this life and the next. In this life and the next. So, Ameen. Ameen. Habibi, I really want you to tell the people about your project. You have a beautiful project. One for the elders and you have one for the kids as well. I personally, I don't really follow people on my Instagram. Even my friends, I don't follow them, just because I try to keep it. With this Instagram thing, there's a little drama there. You follow certain brothers in the da'wah, and you don't follow others. They get emotional. So I have a rule. I say, look, I only follow the brothers in the da'wah that I work with. Or there's like a couple exceptions. You're one of those exceptions, because I looked at the project, I loved it. I really loved it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, even my brother, he's got a project called Arabic Code where he teaches Arabic grammar. But he always said to me, I wish there was a project for the kids. So, and of course you got one for the kids and for the elders. So, we're big fans of your work, bro. So I really love for you to be able to tell them, what it is, so they can benefit, inshallah.
Akhil Habib, I hope you don't mind. I know I got 3 minutes. If I had to choose between speaking about the project and saying this last word, I'd rather say the last word than the project, if you don't mind. And because I okay. Okay, cool. All right. Let me quickly say this, because this is aham, and I think the benefit's gonna be akthar, inshallah ta'ala. And it goes back to the mechanism. You asked me about the mechanism. I mentioned the mechanisms that I put in place, and there was 2 more things that I think is pertinent to mention here. Number one is hope, and number one is action. And these are 2, distinct things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sums up so beautifully. Everyone's got their favorite ayat in the Quran that move them, And this ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. Akhi, that verse right there, especially the first part, whomsoever hopes. Hope. That's what all of us should be clinging on to right now. That hope that we're going to meet the Lord. That hope that I'm going to get better. That hope that Allah is going to accept our good deeds. You with me? فَلْيَعْمَلْ. Allah linked in the hope with the action. So no matter what you're going through, if it's gym possession, if you just go through a divorce, don't lose hope. Because the moment you take away hope from somebody, you take away everything. And as long as you've got that hope, that is an integral component for you to keep doing that, the actions. And how many times does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention in the Quran, don't despair, and don't lose hope from the mercy of Allah, because you can't underestimate this emotion of hope. So that's one of the things that I definitely want to share with your audience. Whatever you're going through, ikhwani wa akhawati fillah, be it big, be it small, everything's relative. Everyone's going through some type of drama or some type of test. Just don't lose hope. That's what I want to say. Do not lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever you're able to do. Everyone's ability is different. Just keep up that good works. You know, that's what I wanted to say. Barakallahu fiqh. All right, we've probably got about 2-3 minutes now.
Yeah, it's just counting it down and say 1 minute 54 seconds.
All right, cool. All right, tell me I got about 30 seconds left, bro. What I wanted to say is, yeah, we got Maysore Arabic for adults, which is anywhere between, you know, like teenagers upwards, whereby we provide online courses. Sometimes we do live courses as well. And it's literally all of my passion, everything that I've learned in my 8 years in Medina. I put, even before then, akhi, because I didn't start only studying Arabic in Medina, but, you know, I've put everything into my online courses. Hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, people will find the content at a very, very high level. I try to keep everything professional, and the prices are also affordable. And also, all right, that's for the little Maysore. Now, for the stuff that we do for the kids, for little Maysore, yeah, so the Maysore is more for adults, for teenagers up to, you know, whatever age, 70, 80 years old. But for little Maysore now, we have, you know, we've got an online portal, which I would highly, highly recommend everybody to check out, which is growing right now, where we have online cartoons, we have, you know, Arabic songs for kids to learn the religion. We've got downloadable worksheets and stuff like that. And we've also got a fantastic offer at the moment whereby, you know, you can sign up for a year and get a whole bunch of our latest toys sent to you absolutely free, not even no postage and packaging. And for those people in the South London area, we also have a physical location, an academy that we were running up until COVID-19 came. But inshallah ta'ala, once this test subsides, we're going to continue teaching, inshallah ta'ala.
Also, akhi, just because there's 20 seconds left, you have a promo code, so just to let everyone know, I'm gonna...
Yeah, Dawah man. Yeah, just tell them to type in Dawah man.
I'm gonna put it on my story, so as soon as this is over,
Allah
check out my story, swipe up.
Allah bless you.
Please support the Brothers Project.
Allah bless you.
Wallah, may Allah honor you,
Allah bless
habibi.
you, akhi.
May Allah honor you, you've got 5 seconds left.
Barakallahu fiqh.
Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik.
Uhibbuka fillah, akhi.
Wallah, may the one for you say you love you back.